Ben, episode number 2. Here we are. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm here.
I'm sorry. I got Snoop Dogg over at the house again. I apologize. Snoop, can you keep it down? Here we are. Episode number 2. SandBox versus Decentraland. Which is number 1? Where should you stick your money? If you've been paying attention, we already know where Snoop Dogg is putting his money. So we're going to get into Decentraland on episode number 3, but we're going to start with SandBox. And SandBox is getting a lot of hype, Ben, and I want to give you the story, the background of it. But first, what is going on with the crypto market, the celebrities, McDonald's? Like, McDonald's is right up your alley.
Yeah, that's my favorite home-cooked meal, McDonald's. One of the big things that's going on right now, I saw Elon Musk has tweeted at McDonald's a couple of times asking them if they'll take Dogecoin. He said he'll eat a Happy Meal on TV. So he's really getting, there's actually several burger companies now. They're calling it the hashtag Burger Wars on Twitter. Burger King's getting into it. And the Mr. Beast Burger, who's a big YouTuber, they've got some pop-up restaurants around the country. They're trying to get him to retweet some of their stuff. And if he does, then they'll accept Dogecoin. So always interesting when Elon starts talking about crypto, especially on Twitter, because he's known to move the market. And Dogecoin, whether it's a long time or a long-term coin or not, it does move and people do make money whenever he tweets. So it's always interesting. And if some place like McDonald's accepts Dogecoin, that might be it. That might be the game changer. I mean, McDonald's is everywhere. So if they accept it worldwide, that instantly validates the Dogecoin, which would be, there's several places now that take it, including, I think, the San Antonio Spurs with Mark Cuban. He's big into it. But if some place like McDonald's, if you can go in for low transaction fees and spend a handful of Dogecoin and get a Big Mac, that might be a game changer. So
I chose to Dogecoin is obviously getting so much attention. I chose to write this week's blog post on it for my real estate business. And
nice.
It's incredible the amount of stuff that's going on for a meme coin.
I think it's ridiculous that a meme coin without the backing of like an Ethereum or anything like that is so popular. With that being said, I own a lot of it. So fingers crossed. Come on, keep talking, Elon.
And by a lot, you put $3 American in, and
I got enough to get 6 Happy Meals if Dogecoin starts getting accepted at McDonald's. So I'm good there. Now, with that being said, I did see that old Kim Kardashian, I think Floyd Mayweather, there's several other ones. Speaking of people moving the markets, they both started pumping up Ethereum Max a couple months or a couple weeks ago. They were both pumping up Ethereum Max, and right after they did that, it dropped. So they got big paydays, $100,000 to throw it up on their social media. Then right afterwards, the coin dropped out by 98%. So they're in some sort of a lawsuit. Ethereum Max was the token. I never really saw much into that, and I don't follow Kim Kardashian on social media. So thankfully, I didn't buy into that one. But the moral of that story is don't trust people on the internet, whether it's YouTube or Instagram. Everything except for us and Matt Damon. If Matt Damon is on board, then you know it's good. So the crypto.com, I don't know if you saw his commercial.
No, I did not.
Oh, yeah. He's getting some guff for appearing in a crypto.com commercial, but that's from mostly just haters because crypto.com is dumping money everywhere. They just bought the Staples Center where the Los Angeles Lakers play. Not a good sign because Staples didn't exactly do great, but that's a big deal. That's a 20-year deal. Crypto.com Center. I recently went to Las Vegas. That name, crypto.com, was on every electronic billboard everywhere in the city. Giant. Fortune favors the bold everywhere. And that was the theme of Matt Damon's commercial. He's getting some guff, like they said. You know, people who don't understand anything about crypto are like, oh, he's shilling a product, blah, 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 blah.
I saw that this morning. Gwyneth Paltrow, it sounds like, just bought her first NFT, or at least put it out there, and people are shredding her because I guess supposedly she has a history of making bad choices. So her buying into the JPEG NFT, they're letting her have it.
Well, that's like trusting a Taylor Swift for relationship advice. Just because Gwyneth Paltrow does something financially doesn't mean you should. But something like a crypto.com, if you look into it, if you look deep into it, they're planting their roots in the crypto crossover world.
Whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans. Fortune favors the brave.
Trying to be like the Bank of America of cryptocurrency. Again, I don't know, but the stuff I'm looking into, I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, they've got supposed to have a huge commercial coming up for the Super Bowl, and that's going to put it in front of 50, 60 million Americans, and who knows how many people worldwide. And crypto.com is one of the exchanges available in America that you can get into. You know, there's a lot of ones, Binance and stuff, that have limited ones. Crypto.com you can do in America, and you'll be able to buy the SAND token, which we're going to be talking about today, which is the native token for SandBox. So a lot of stuff going on right now. It is January 28th. Bitcoin was at $36,000. Ethereum was at $2,400. That's where we're at right now. We'll keep track of those as we go on, I think, because that'll be pretty interesting as the year moves on.
For sure.
To see where we're at. So
with them being so low, and this sounds like a good segue for our warning for people. We are not financial advisors. Go ahead, Ben.
I don't remember how the rest of that goes. We're not financial advisors, but anything that we say, especially if we've done a lot of research into it, you should definitely take into consideration and discuss with your financial team, because you don't want to make these type of decisions based solely on what a couple of dudes on the internet says, or Kim Kardashian. Believe it or not, if Kim Kardashian is telling you what to do with your money, you've made a poor choice somewhere. So
yeah, for sure.
Discuss it with your own financial team and make the decision that is best for you. So
absolutely. Well, let's jump right into this. I'm about to, I hope you got your blanket. I'm about to give you the short story of SandBox and how it came about. It was actually two buddies that came up with this, and it was mobile first, if you can believe it. Yeah, mobile version, 2011, 2012. These guys put it together. And then, was mobile. Nope, not a whole lot of publicity. And then 2018 hit, and they started to revamp it or revolutionize it. And I found a quote by one of the friends that put this together, and this pretty much just, to me, this encapsulates what's going on with the metaverse. And this quote by Sebastian Bourdette, one of the founding friends, his quote: "We are positioning the sandbox against the giant tech companies who are claiming the metaverse for themselves." And that's the more I get into this, Ben, that's what we're finding is it's about decentralization. And SandBox is one of the, if not the, land or metaverse leading that way. It's 100% owned by its landowners or players, with the exception of some of the plots that SandBox is holding on to do future events and stuff like that. But this is really giving it back to the people. And I've seen that thread through the metaverse over and over and over again. And so I thought that was an amazing quote by those guys. So as I mentioned, 100% owned. Let that sink in for a minute. When you think of games or worlds, or, if you buy into something, how often are you actually one of the owners, let alone essentially 100% owned? They're proposed to be putting together a DAO for SandBox in 2022 once it actually finally opens up and goes out. I mean, we haven't even touched on that, but this isn't, they're still running alpha phases. You can't, you can get in there and start doing things, but the world is not actually even open yet. And have you come across a date when that's going to be? Because I haven't seen anything specifically.
No, because it won't even, it's another 2 weeks before they even open up the public land sale. Right now, it's only open up to industry and different companies. So I don't know when the gameplay actually starts. I know if you go through the work, you can get into the beta testing and actually get in and kind of experiment it. Yeah. But as far as getting in and creating your own game and being fully immersed in the game, it's not open yet. And I don't have a date on it.
Yeah, I obviously, I don't know a lot about SandBox. I don't have any money in SandBox, so I was doing a lot of research preparing for this, and that was one of the things I was a little surprised about. But there's quite a few teasers they put out there that we're gonna find out, and we're gonna hit on some of those. But I don't want to step on your toes too much, Ben. But one of the things that I came across that was amazing to me is when you go in here and you're creating your own avatars and NFTs and stuff. Though you're monetizing your lands or your availability to be a brand or marketing. But again, I don't want to step on your toes, but worth mentioning, I was really impressed that you're going to be able to take these NFTs and they're going to be available to use or sell outside of SandBox. Like, it's a true non-fungible token, not just for SandBox. So if you create a pair of tennis shoes wearable that is a hit, you could potentially sell those outside of SandBox. So just the decentralization and the control within this world is really, really something cool to see.
Right. And along with that, anything from outside the world you can bring in. So if you have art or, an NFT or a picture or an avatar from a different game or from a different that's set up for it, you can actually bring it into the game and use it as the playable character, which is the whole idea of the metaverse. Isn't 15 different metaverses that all have their own set of rules. Eventually, you're going to want your person that's able to go to the different areas and the different worlds. And right now, this one is one of the leaders in an actual non-fungible token that comes in and out that you have in your wallet that you can take into different metaverse setups, different worlds, different areas, and play with, or sell, which is the best part, because you can actually take it out to an exchange or a marketplace and sell them. And this game has an NFT creator where you can create with I think it's called their Vox editor, where you can create clothing, avatars, equipment, gear, toys, games. You can move it around, create it, pull it off, sell it, bring it back on. Yep, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You can see on the screen there, that's there. You can download that. It says no programming skills necessary. You don't have to know how to code. So it's supposed to be pretty basic, but you can get in there right now and start messing with that. There you go. Coding not required. So
boom.
It's really looking forward to that.
Yeah, really impressive. And why we're on that topic of metaverses, leading in from the first episode, we talked about putting together or giving our list of top 10 metaverses. And I don't know about you, but as you were creating yours and I was kind of creating mine, the top 10 just didn't seem to quite grasp it to me. And maybe it's just me, but almost top hyped is what I started thinking of, because a lot of these aren't even out yet. I mean, they're still developing them and massive. Right. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars and teams of over 100 people on some of these they're building these.
Yeah, one of the things that we're planning on doing on this channel is kind of ranking and getting a standardized set of numbers that we can say, oh, this is a 5 in this and a 10 in this, and so we can actually rank these. But right now, a lot of them, like you said, aren't open. A lot of them are just the previews of the systems, and a lot of them are completely different. We're not even sure how we're going to rank them because Facebook Horizon is going to be a completely different experience than an Axie Infinity, and it's going to be hard to even say what are the top 10, because it depends on what you're looking for coming in. If you're looking for a sports community, it's going to be something completely different than a person looking for a AAA rated online gaming experience. So
and to me that's awesome. The metaverse has a place for everybody, no matter what you're into.
Right. And one of the big things about the SandBox, again, that even I don't feel like my brain is fully wrapped around it, It's not a game in itself. It's like climbing into an Xbox and having the ability to play every game that was ever made. You'll be able to create games. You'll be able, Atari's going to have, you're going to go into the sandbox, and then you're going to go into Atari's land, and you're going to be able to play all the Atari games. You're going to be able to go into the sandbox and then into a casino and actually gamble with your crypto. If you wanted, you could play all the regular, you can play poker, it's not a game. In fact, I think they said by the end of 2023, they expect to have over 5,000 games and experiences in SandBox, which are all user owned. And that's just unbelievable. So if you think about an entire run of original Xbox games, you're looking at several hundred games. This is 10 times that.
Yeah. I feel like you better start learning how to make your money in the metaverse, because you're never going to leave it. You're probably not going back to your real job. There's too many good games.
That's probably the hook of the whole video, the whole channel right there. You better figure out a way to make money in the metaverse, because that's where we're headed. We're going that direction.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't like exercise, this might be for you. May cut your life short. Yeah. Well,
I plan on little as wear and tear on this body as possible, and I'm going to do it in the metaverse, locked into my goggles.
It's like you were born for this. You've been waiting for this moment, Ben.
This is, I'm excited.
So we promised to give a list of top 10. Do we go ahead and...
Okay, I've got 10 worlds that I'm keeping an eye on right now. Like you said, this is in no order. It's more just the ones that you're reading a lot about, that are excitement is brewing. They have large social media followings, and they have reason to believe that they're going to be around at the end of 2022. Yeah. Some of the ones I've seen are already iffy projects, but the 10 that I'm keeping an eye on are Axie Infinity. That's they're trying to make it a AAA rated gaming experience, like playing an Xbox game on the blockchain network with NFTs, with play to earn, with your own avatars. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. Illuvium, which is similar to that. SandBox, today we're going to talk about that, and Decentraland, which is similar. That'll be episode number 3. Facebook's Horizon, which is, I almost feel bad. Yeah, I almost feel bad talking about that one, because the whole purpose of these decentralized is to get away from large corporate and Facebook Horizon is going to be, because they are the most well-funded. They have all the money in the world, but their experience is going to be very tailored to what's good for Facebook, not what's good for the user. So it'll be very nice, very fun to play, but you're not going to be owning any piece of Facebook just because you made an NFT in there. I mean, they're going to be owning a lot of it, and you can create a game in there. And if they decide that, they're going to boot you out and they're going to copy that game, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But with that being said, they've obviously got the largest following out of all of these, because they're already established. They've been around since 2004, and they've got more money than the rest of the world's put together. So Roblox is another big one that started out as not a blockchain game, that's actually turning more into a sandbox type of deal. Star Atlas, Blocktopia, those are both big ones that have large social media followings. Somnium Space, which I'm going to have a list of these playing over here on the screen. You'll see these. Somnium Space, which I've heard is like The Sims, which has a huge video game following. People love The Sims. If you hate your life, you can be a sim, and in the Somnium Space, you can play to earn. I think they've got a native token called Cube, or I could be wrong, but they've got a native token that you're playing to earn. You build your family, you build your person, you go around and live your life inside the computer. That's what we're going for here.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah. Crypto Voxels is the next one. That is like, that's a pretty basic metaverse, but it's more like a giant NFT and digital museum. So you'll be going into with your goggles or on the computer, but you can show off, you can have your own little room, all the NFTs that you store in your wallet, any digital art that you have. I saw some of the gameplay. The avatars and the people look pretty rough, but it's pretty neat the way that it's set up. You can actually go into these digital worlds and look at other people's art and see all the NFTs that they've collected, which I'm not that into yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Yeah, Gary V has said many times that he thinks as this develops, you're running in these avatars, you're going to be going and looking at people's rooms or whatever you want to call it of NFTs and their collectibles. And that he's essentially said that's going to be the new social media. Instead of people looking up your posts to see what's going on there, so they're going to be going into your world, seeing what type of things you like to collect, and what types of things or NFTs or arts or worlds you're into, and that also we can see that running over into the business world where if you're looking for a real estate agent locally, Ben, and we make contact, you're going to be going into my my world and checking out and seeing what type of stuff am I collecting, what am I into. So
yep. And like I said, that'll be interesting because you've got infinite amount of space to display an infinite amount of digital art. So rather than having your Ninja Turtles thrown up on your shelves and eventually you run out of room if you have too many Ninja Turtles, I don't know how this is going to work in your virtual art world museum, but looking forward to it. And the final one on my list, number 10, is called So Rare. And it is not popular in America, but apparently it's already going right now. And it's pretty big in Europe and over on this part of the world because it's it's like fantasy soccer. You buy and sell NFT like trading cards, and you actually compile your team. So it's like fantasy football, but the players are the NFTs, the trading cards. And then you arrange your teams, and based on how good they do, the value goes up. You can sell them on the marketplace. You can collect them. You can collect different fan memorabilia and stuff like that in NFT form. So it may not ever be real popular in America, but it's real popular in the world. And in the metaverse, the good part about that is it doesn't just have to have a one area niche. I mean, when you can get into the metaverse and you can jump across the world and talk to people in Europe, if you're a soccer fan in the middle of Kansas and where nobody cares about soccer, you can jump right in and be right in the middle of all the best and biggest soccer clubs in the world. And you could be trading right along with them, because that's the beauty of the metaverse, is stuff like this that nobody cares about in America. You can come over here and
and you're talking about community, and which has been one of the most surprising and the most impressive things that I've seen as I've started to get into the metaverse and the worlds and stuff like that. Is the community is just incredible, whether it's in the actual world itself, or it's on Twitter or Discord, or like you said, regardless of what you're into, there's 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 other people that are into the exact same thing, and they're forming community within these within these lands or Twitter or whatever. And that part you definitely have to check out. I mean, for me, that's been one of the coolest things, is to see humanity and the community that's forming around these different worlds, like you said, from across the world,
without the geographic constraint that there was 10 years ago. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan in Kansas, there are no Buffalo Bills fan clubs or bars or places that you would go to outside of New York. But now, I mean, and that's been the case with Facebook groups and stuff like this, but now you're talking about a whole metaverse world. People from all over the world, you're able to find your niche, your clique, your group of people that you want to hang out. There's 7.5 billion people in the world. There's probably 1 million people into everything that you're into. And these are bringing them together. So
well, speaking of worlds, speaking of lands, let's get into SandBox. We want to be respectful of everybody's time, so we're going to jump right into the map here. And the foundation of SandBox, you can see pretty much here. This world, it's got a lot of colors. It's all over the place. And you can see there is a lot happening here, especially for something that's not even come off the ground yet. But some of the interesting things about SandBox is it's broken down into lands, and there's 166,464 pieces of land, basically. And when I say land, essentially it's one small block here, but it's 96 by 96 meters and then up to 128 meters tall. And I'm not exactly sure what they mean by the height. The only thing I could think of is maybe if you're building a building or something like that, it's restricted to that 128. But let me show you just kind of real quick what a single, so this would be like a single land here. So yeah, pretty nice. And just for reference, the cheapest one that sold this week was 3.7 ETH. And I have the calculation here, which comes out to be about 2,584 sand. And like you mentioned, and you're going to get into, sand is the actual token that you have to use to purchase the land, but it's equivalent to 3.7 ETH because it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's where you got to start. On the opposite end of that, the most expensive that sold, and this was back in November, but it was 1,239,788 sand, which comes out to be 1,775 ETH, or $4.3 million.
Gotcha. All right.
And that purchase and those larger purchases was not a single land. It was an estate, which is the next step up. So you've got a piece of land at 1 by 1 is what they call it, 96 by 96 meters. If you own more than one piece of land, getting the next kind of the level up is a 3 by 3, then you start getting into what's called estates. And then the estates are anything from 3 by 3 all the way up to 24 by 24. If you go above that, then you've got to connect multiple estates, because 24 by 24 is the largest that you can go. And which my understanding is what would be like this SandBox.
Yeah.
It becomes what's called districts, and there's some additional rules there that go on also. So we're not going to get too deep into that, but you got land, estates, and districts. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on the for sale box up here, and it's going to highlight some of these for sale. We're going to kind of start looking into some of these. So as I was mentioning, let me back out here a little bit. As I was mentioning, the cheapest buy-in just from a land perspective, it's perspective at 3.7 ETH, which I don't have the calculation, but that's
$15,000.
Yeah. Especially depending on where the market is, where ETH is on the crypto scale. It's not cheap to buy land in the actual sandbox. Now, if you're a business, there's going to be opportunities to lease land down the road, but that'll be after they start rolling that out. Over here, you can see that you can check for sale the properties that are available on the marketplace within the sandbox for sale, and then on OpenSea. And if you're going to purchase on the marketplace, you'll be buying with Sand, which is the token for Sandbox, and OpenSea is going to be ETH. So depending on where you're buying, you're going to need that cryptocurrency. And then here's the map sizes over here. You've got 1 by 1 through 24 by 24. And so there's a total of 166,464 1 by 1 pieces of land. And if you combine more than one of these, so 3 by 3 all the way through 24 by 24, you get an estate. So these common size here, these are your estates. If you add estates back to back, trying to see if there's one on here. I don't see it. If you stack these estates back to back, well, actually this would be here because these are also estates. These are, I believe, 12 by 12. But when you stack them back to back like this or next to each other, this is called a district. And so the idea, just like regular real estate out in the world, is the more brands, large brands that you have like this together, just like a large strip center or so forth, the more traffic you're probably going to get to this area, which obviously means the land's probably going to be worth more value, especially if the traffic numbers are high. So just like regular real estate, location is crucial. And that begins with, for SandBox, it begins with being as close to these brands as you can for the traffic. Even SandBox up here, these areas here that they've got held for future events or concerts or whatever they've got planned, these are probably going to be some major hubs of traffic. If you're going to Atari to play their, some of the games that they've got, That's going to be major traffic. So this land that's close to these major brands here, even over here, is going to be more expensive, but it's also going to be more valuable because of the traffic. And so I've got this one clicked on here near Snoop Dogg and Steve Aoki, and this seller is asking for 888 ETH. So chances are, that's not the value. They're just putting it out there to see what they can get. And, being in these locations here, probably some really good value there. And with it being on OpenSea, if you wanted to buy this land or take a shot at it, you don't have to pay what they're asking. You can also do an auction and set your time limit on that auction for whatever dollar amount you want to put out there. So when you do that, you have to do what's called wrapping your ETH, and they call it WETH, WETH, and you have to use a third-party Unisource or Uniswap for that, which we'll add a link. But that's getting a little bit into the weeds. So let's get back over here. So location, as close to these major brands as you can, because there's going to be lots of traffic. But also, the two main ways that they're telling us that you're going to get around within SandBox is you're either going to be walking or running the main thoroughfares, or you can do what's called porting from land to land with a portal. So each individual land here will have the option to put in a portal. So if I own a piece of land, let's just say I own this very nice piece here, I can build it up however I want with my own house, my commercial business, a playground, a bowling alley, whatever. And then I place the portal wherever I want within that land. And what's nice about that is anybody that ports onto my land is gonna end up, or he's gonna enter my land exactly where I want him to. So opportunity to market a little bit better, I guess you could say, or send people to where you want them to go. And I know on this map right now, this looks like a tiny speck, but once this is available and you can actually get in here and play or whatever, these lands are quite large compared to this map. So you can, if that's the case, you can imagine these estates are very, very large. So porting from place to place doesn't help a lot when you're looking at owning a great location. But one of the other ways to get around, which is going to be the walking or cruising the SandBox, which is probably going to be a lot of people, is these estates are going to have what's called exits. And from what I've read, the exits are probably going to be located on the corners of the property. Maybe not all the corners, but some of the corners. So, for instance, it probably would make sense to have a property like this. You're on the corner of Snoop Dogg here, Steve Aoki here. That's a really valuable corner, not only because it's close, but the potential of there being an exit here is probably really good. Because I also would imagine, Snoop Dogg and Aoki are getting together and figuring this out, how they're going to run some extra traffic. Maybe they're not, but we'd like to think so. So some game plan in there. So location next to these main brands, but also potentially next to these corners for the exits. That's where a lot of this primo stuff's going to be. But you have to really, there's no way around it. You have to get on here and actually start clicking on some of these lands. So here's one at 13 ETH. Here's an estate that's for sale, that they've got it all for sale, but you can click on it piece by piece. Maybe there's an opportunity to go to the auction on OpenSea here and get a better deal if you're buying all that. If you're looking to invest, a lot. Here's clicking over here. So now we're down to 4 ETH. Here's another one there. It's trying to, I guess, 4 ETH is probably, since the cheapest one that sold 2 days ago was 3.7, 4 ETH might be as cheap as you're going to get here. But there's all sorts of really fun stuff that's going on here. And this is just the map. So you can imagine once it's opened up, all the amazing things that you'll be able to see and play and do within the SandBox. But here's the land version: location, location, location. So no different than regular real estate. And voila, just like magic, at the speed of internet.
Nice.
It's going to take me to the land here.
Yeah, that's handy, especially on a map with that small of parcels, to have the grid coordinates that you can just punch in and get right to it. So
yeah, you've really got to be able to zero in, especially if you're doing what I do, which I'm not saying this is the only way or the best way, but if you're scoping out property, I'm looking at lots and lots of property, comparing lots and lots of property, trying to figure out, what is the best value. Well, anyways, so you can see my poor computer's bogged down, but it's coming up. So that's what I'm seeing from my perspective on the land, which is of the most interest to me. But that, I'm in real estate, so that's what I relate to. So you, gamer extraordinaire, Ben, covered a lot of the more fun stuff, I think.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is good companies buying all the land. I know you can obviously see Atari's a big contributor on this project. They've been in since early. Yeah. And I'm not sure how their gameplay is going to be set up, whether they're going to be doing classic Atari games. I know they have a lot of modern games as well, but you'll be able to go into this land, go to places like Atari's property, and play their games. And I know that they have some games that you can play to earn, play to win some sand. You can do different team challenges and stuff like that. But there's also experiences like Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I was looking forward to because I haven't played that since I was a kid. Yeah. But they own a big property in there. So even if it's just the digital, depends on how you're getting in there. If you're using your VR goggles to be able to do the different roller coasters and build your Roller Coaster Tycoon property, I just think that stuff's going to be great. The gameplay on this will be completely up to the people who create the games inside the world. And anybody right now can go to this. You can go to sandbox.game. That's the website. You can sign up. It's free to sign up. You can start digging around and seeing what it takes to create a game. A lot of this stuff, they say you have to have no to minimal coding or programming experience, and you can start to actually do this. And companies like Atari, with the background and with the infrastructure already ready to go, they've got games ready to just pull the trigger. But there's going to be like 5,000 games by the end of 2023 that you'll be able to get into and play. The point of SandBox is the experience, the community, and the activity inside of it. There's a lot of metaverses that are geared more towards business and advertising, and connecting in that sense. SandBox is one that's more, we're doing this for fun. You're getting in, you're going to concerts, you're seeing Snoop Dogg concerts in the SandBox, you're playing Atari, you're gambling at a digital casino, you're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, you're buying stuff from Adidas. All of these companies are in there. They're ready. SandBox is supposed to be an enjoyable way rather than going out into the real world, going to the mall and wandering around, dipping into the arcade, dipping into the Adidas store. You'll be able to do all that here in the metaverse on your computer or in your VR goggles. That's what I'm looking forward to as far as gameplay. One of the main things that I'm always looking at is making money, and especially if you can make money in gameplay, the play to earn stuff. I mean, once I figure out how to do that to make a living playing games, I'm set. So as soon as this is open to the public, I'm in. I'm going straight to Atari. I'm going to start figuring stuff out. I know, like you said earlier, you got to find a way to make some money in here. I know places like SandBox right now in the alpha testing, they have actually hired people to come in and kind of be tour guides into it. Really? So if you come into it, they've actually got people that are sitting at their house with their goggles on, and you pop in and you say, okay, I don't know how to do this. And they say, well, come here, I'll show you. We'll go to Atari first, and we'll show you what's going to happen and how to move around and how to get to this. So there's going to be tour guides available in these worlds. Imagine going to Roller Coaster Tycoon and not knowing how to play the game, and then having somebody pop in and say, here, let me show you how to make it, basically. And they can show you on your computer. They can connect with you. They can email with you. Those are all real jobs that are going to exist, just like at the mall. But now you can do it from your house. And if 2020 taught us anything, it's people are chomping at the bit to find a way to make money without leaving their house.
Yes.
And places like SandBox are going to figure out, I mean, I don't even know we don't even know all 166,000 plots that are going to be taken up, but there's going to be a million different ways. I mean, even call centers, even if you're ready to buy a new phone, you'll be able to pop into the AT&T site. Somebody's going to come up there and start talking to you and showing you digital types of the phones that they're using. It's going to be just like calling in anywhere, except for those people are going to be here based in the metaverse. It's going to make it so much handier, you know, and then you're going to be able to go straight from there, get your phone, then jump back over to Roller Coaster Tycoon, play on that.
Wait, so you're saying I'm not going to have to go to the T-Mobile store and wait for an hour and a half?
If you're waiting for an hour and a half, you'll be sitting in your recliner with your goggles on, and you're like, you know what? I'll take a number. I'm going to go over to Atari. I'm going to play Pong for 3 hours, and then holler at me. So one of the things, again, that the whole network runs on, the native utility token is called SAND, S-A-N-D. That's what powers the SandBox. It's on the Ethereum blockchain, but their native utility token that they're using is SAND. We'll just go straight gameplay. We don't really know what all it encompasses. You can picture what Roller Coaster Tycoon and Atari are like, but as far as the business behind SandBox, Sand token, you can buy it right now through crypto.com, Bitmart, BitThumb. I'll have a list of them right here. Upbot, MXC, Simplex, a handful of other ones, Gemini, FTX. It's not available right now on Coinbase, which is what a lot of people buy their crypto from, because the company SandBox owns a lot of it. Here, I've actually got the definition. Because sand is actively used to fund SandBox's business, it represents an investment in the company itself, which means it's a security. So it's more like a stock than it is a commodity. A commodity, Ethereum and Bitcoin, because they're not owned by companies, they are a commodity. You can trade them freely on Coinbase, so Coinbase lists those. Coinbase got in some trouble a while back with XRP because there was a gray line on what's a security and what's a commodity. So right now they just don't mess with it until it's officially deemed a commodity. Yeah. And as long as the company owns most of Sand, it's deemed a security. So right now you can't get it on Coinbase, but it's coming.
Well, as of, like you're saying, today's date, January 28, 2022, I actually sat in on Twitter Space last night that had some senator candidates, and that was majority of the discussion is the stuff that's being presented in the government about regulating these things. And there's definitely stuff coming down the pipe.
Right. And it's happening so fast that today it's not allowed and tomorrow it might be. This is not the slow turning battleship of some organizations. This is a jet ski, and we could be going 100 miles an hour and they say, we're getting ready to ban it all. And tomorrow it could all be legal. Coinbase could post it up on there. And when that happens, expect a good price jump. Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. Best advice then you're telling me is find an accountant on the metaverse, because they probably know what's going on.
Yeah. Or if you are an accountant, buy a parcel right now and set up a crypto accounting firm right next to the casino, probably right next to where you can gamble your crypto on the Super Bowl. That'd be a perfect spot for a crypto accountant.
And before you do that, give me and Ben, message us. Let us know where you're going to buy so we can buy right next to you. Thank you.
Right. There you go. Perfect. The Sand token, now the project, like Ryan said, it's been around for 5-10 years almost. Yeah. But it's only in 2018 it really started to gear more towards the crypto metaverse on the blockchain type of game. That was when it was taken over or got into with Animoca Brands. Then it started gearing less towards a game and more towards a metaverse. In 2021, they launched publicly the Sand token at less than 4 cents a token. Shot right up, it just makes you sick, because then by November 21 of 2021, the all-time high was $8.44. So I'm not going to do the math on that, but 4 cents to $8.44. Seems like you could have made a little bit of money. Got just above $8.50 that day, but when it closed, it was 844. So you're looking at a huge jump, and you're looking at people. I've got 3 different price predictions from actual websites that do crypto price predictions, and they said, 844. Right now we're at $3.51 today, which is up 15%, because last week it was at $2.66. But they're talking by the end of this year we'll be back up and beyond the all-time high of $8.44.
Yeah.
So if you've got an exchange where you can get SAND tokens right now, today, they're at about $3.50. Again, January 28th, 2022, they're at $3.51. Digital coin says by the end of 2022, they'll be almost $10. And by the end of 2025, they'll be $17.06. That's the most conservative estimate that I found. CryptoPricePredictor.com, they think by the end of 2022, they'll be above the other one's 2025 price. They're expecting $17.53, which, so you're talking more than double the all-time high by the end of this year, which is 5 times what it is right now.
And as reference, and you mentioned it earlier, the market is way down compared to what it was a week ago, way down. And I think you referenced it. I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, and it's at 36,906, just flipped to that. And a couple weeks ago, it was at 5860 or maybe even closer to 70. I don't own any Bitcoin, but as reference for our viewers, the market is down almost in all currencies, crypto wise.
Yeah, if your currency, if your small token is going down and Bitcoin is going up, you got a problem. But when Bitcoin's dropping, your token's dropping, that's usually nothing to worry about if you believe in the long-term stability of the project, which this is one that we would assume is pretty safe. In the world of Metaverse, we think SandBox is going to be pretty good. And Crypto Price Predictor says by the end of 25, they're expecting $75. And they even went as far to say that by 2030, they're looking at a $200 coin running SandBox. Wow. So your options right now, one of the things that Ryan and I have talked about is if you're coming in looking to get into the metaverse for different price points, if you've got $100 or if you've got $1,000 or if you've got $10,000, how can you get into each one of these different worlds? And obviously the easiest thing right now to get into SandBox without having to buy the land is to buy a SAND token. I gave you the list of the different exchanges that you can buy it on. Right now, you can buy one SAND token for $3.51. So for $100, you're looking at about 30 tokens to just get your feet in there, just kind of get dipped into and get connected with the metaverse. That would be the cheapest way, the cheapest and most realistic way to get into SandBox right now is to buy the SAND token.
Yes.
Now, if you had $1,000 and you were looking to get into, the next step up, as opposed to getting 300 SAND tokens, you could also get into their marketplace and you could start buying the NFTs. You could get an avatar. You could start buying gear. You could start, doing the play to earn games. There's several different options that you can do to get in there and actually start buying pieces of the game. Again, you're not going to be able to buy land with 1,000, but eventually you'll be able to rent or lease land or, get in there and buy an avatar, upgrade it, sell it. You could start flipping NFTs. That's a possibility with 1,000.
In that same line, sorry, Ben, real quick. In that same line, you don't have to own land to go into that marketplace and start, or the crypto box and start creating your own stuff that you could
absolutely
sell to others also, correctly?
Correct. Yeah, you can get signed up and logged in to SandBox for free, and then there's just no. Like I said, the cheapest coin you can get is $3 right now, and NFTs are just a multiple of that. It depends on what you're buying. You can buy a yacht for 350,000 SAND tokens, or you can buy a building, or you can buy that. There's no limit to the kind of stuff that you can get in there and do depending on how much you're willing to invest. But if you have around 10,000, and on this one, we're going to say 10 to 20,000 or more, then you can start looking at buying land. Now, if you're a business, you can apply and you can get in there right now. February 11th is when they're going to open this up to public land sales. And like Ryan was saying, right now, about the cheapest you can do is between 12 and 15,000 USD, which is about 3.5 ETH, or who knows how many sand tokens. But you're looking at close to 15,000 right now. And when it opens up to the public, I'm thinking it's going to start going pretty fast. So if you don't get it initially, then when you get to the secondhand market, you're going to be paying 50% more, maybe twice whatever the price is. So your options, as far as I'm concerned, I'm buying sand tokens because I'm more in the couple $100 range for each one of these metaverses. So sand tokens, if you've got 100, if you've got 1,000, you can be buying the NFTs and buying the wearables, the avatars, flipping stuff, or sand tokens. If you got 10,000 or more and you're looking at investing, then you can start thinking about buying some property to hold on to and capitalize with later, make money with later, or sell for a profit later. And the other way to make money, the other way to take advantage of the SandBox, I was looking up ways to invest in a traditional account, not a blockchain account, not an exchange. If you're looking for a retirement account, if you're like, hey, man, this stuff is going long term, I want in. There's two companies that are real big in it right now. One of them is Ubisoft, the French gaming company. You can buy that in a standard brokerage account. I'll put the stock ticker up here. It's UBSFF. You can buy that in somewhere like E-Trade. SoftBank. This is one of the things that really makes me think this one's going to be around for a while. This one's really got some staying power. SoftBank, the investment firm, I think it's Asian. I'm not sure what part of Asia, but SoftBank just headed a $93 million investment into SandBox. So
yes, I saw that.
If there's a project that gets $100 million, especially from an investment firm, they're looking for results. They're not just guessing. They're not just throwing it out there. SoftBank is a publicly traded company, SFTBY. You can invest in SoftBank and get a little piece of that. Now, they're invested in a lot of stuff. So if SandBox doesn't make it, if it goes completely kaput, you're not out. You're not buying a SandBox stock. You're buying a company that owns a bit of, or will benefit from. Yeah. So those are some safe ways to invest in a traditional brokerage account. I didn't see if you could look those up on Robinhood, but I know you can get them on E-Trade or a standard IRA or 401k account. So those are 3 different price points that you can get into this metaverse. 2 different options, traditional or on the blockchain investing. And like I said, my initial right now, what I'm going to do is buy some sand tokens until I get through the top 10 metaverses. Then I'll decide where to start putting the bigger bucks.
Yeah. No, that seems like a no-brainer as far as what budget-wise what's going to work. So we're running on an hour, Ben, and we talked about hopefully keeping these things to 45 minutes or no more than an hour. Yeah. You might text your wife there.
Yeah.
Even though sushi might be cold. Oh wait, sushi is cold.
Sushi is cold. Oh, it's not cooked.
So let's wrap this up. Any before I kind of jump into wrapping this up, I don't want to cut you off, or any last thoughts on the tokens?
I'm wrapping up, but in summary, when I think about SandBox, like this would be for somebody who is like, okay, I'm ready to get into it, but I'm not willing to take the long shot. We've got our top 10, but then there's 90 more that you can take the Hail Mary pass on. There are so many big companies involved with SandBox right now. There are so many high profile celebrities that are involved with SandBox. Yeah. There's so much money in there. This is not one that tomorrow we're going to wake up and go, wait, what happened? The website's closed down. You know what I mean? This is a much more conservative play. that's still decentralized. It's not Facebook, but it's still a very safe play as far as investing and starting to look into. So that's what I'm looking forward to. This isn't going to be the one that goes 100x from this point anytime soon, but it's also not one that's going to go to zero tomorrow. So
yeah, and immediately I think of, when's the last time you heard of an investment that has this much backing, this many celebrities, and you can buy in it starting at $3?
Right. And that's the best part about some of these is you don't have to have you don't have to have enough to buy the land to get involved in the metaverse. So one token and you're a part of it. You're able to stake stuff. You're able to generate rewards from holding the token. There's $3.50 right now is your entry point into the SandBox.
Yeah, truly amazing. So wrapping this up, the things that stick in my mind, especially that I know I've learned over this last week of really putting in the hours on this, is the sheer decentralization of SandBox, the metaverse, the ability that anybody anywhere can get involved and have a piece of ownership. And not only just ownership, you can build on that ownership. You could create things and market it and get it out in front of other people. So the availability of it is just incredible to me. And that goes right back to like the guys that have built this and a lot of the metaverse, but it's 100% owned. 100% owned by the players, the landowners. I mean, they're 100% owned, 100% built, and then on top of it, you can take some of the stuff you built because they become NFTs. They're in the form of an NFT as you build them, and you can take them to other worlds or market them to other worlds. And I know you, with your gaming background, my understanding is that's one of the biggest frustration for gamers is you're spending money within a game, a Fortnite or even Farmville with the sheep, but the only place you can use them, well, that's a Gary Vee reference from Facebook. I just regurgitate. I don't make
I don't play Farmville, but I know what you're talking about. Go on.
There might be some viewers of ours that do. Point being is, in days past, you buy a skin or an entity within those games. They're only available in that game. You couldn't take that outside that game to another game. And we've taken that. We just figured gamers, my understanding of it, just considered that, that's granted. That's how it was. But it's a very frustrating point that these NFTs are now changing, that you can take them to all these different worlds and metaverses after you create them.
Yeah, if you're fully invested in PUBG, let's say mobile, and you've got your guy tricked out, he's got the coolest suit and the coolest guns and all that stuff, and then all your friends are like, oh, we're playing Call of Duty mobile. Well, now you got to go over there, and it's like, well, I've just spent $400 tricking out my digital guy over here, and now I go into Call of Duty where I got the basic setup, and it's like, and then as soon as that, and then it's the next one. And so what they're doing is building the NFT means it's yours. It doesn't belong to the game. It's yours.
Right.
You take it where you want it. And if you're like, well, I'm going to go start something else over here, I'll sell my fully equipped, fully decked out guy on the open market so this guy can play in PUBG, and I'll go do something else over with the sheep in Farmville.
Yeah, reaping your hard work and your smart choices. I mean, building while you're gaming, play to earn, or build things that you can actually market and sell if you choose to down the road.
That's the beauty of it. If I would have been playing to earn when Halo 2 came out, I would be a millionaire right now, because there's a reason I didn't make it through college, and I blame Bungie and the Halo games, because that was all we did. We played so much, and now it's a different world. Now you're rewarded for burning up daylight. I mean, just you play so much, you earn so many points, you find rare items inside the game. That's no longer like, oh, that's cool. And then if you don't play that game for 6 years, it doesn't do anything. Now you're like, hey, you know what? I've got a rare gun from the original, SandBox game. I can go flip that on the market, make some money. I mean, you're actually playing for a reason.
I hear the echoes of your high school teachers in my head. Ben, get your life together. Gaming is going nowhere.
More like, wake up.
Man, it just truly is amazing, which is making this, putting these shows together, just so much fun.
Yes.
Wrapped up. Next episode number 3, Decentraland. I think that's the natural next one we hit. I know when I first started jumping into metaverses in way back in November of 2021, all those months back, Decentraland was the one that kept coming up, and then SandBox just, in my mind, is just almost blown by it, at least. But there's a lot, obviously. That's just my opinion. A lot of people believe Decentraland's the place to be, and so we're gonna hit that hard and really kind of maybe get even a little bit of comparison with the SandBox.
Yeah, anytime you look up either one, 10 articles pop up saying which one is better. So they're right now, they're at the forefront heading this, and it doesn't, both of them will probably end up being successful to some degree or another. It doesn't have to be one or another. So it's just which one has the gameplay you like, which one is the way you want to go. And next week we're going to look at Decentraland and do the same thing, figure out what to do with $100, $1,000, $10,000, how to get invested in that, what your options are. And we'll just keep on ticking that way.
Yeah, 100%. That said, Ben's going to put some links down below for some of the content stuff that we've talked about. Again, I'm in business, and in business, they tell you want to keep people on your website or within your office, or, you don't want to send them out to other people. I don't believe in that. Why are we going to try and keep people within our realm when there's other people that can tell you about the MetaMask and how to connect this and cryptocurrency? Let's just link them, down below, so that if it's something that we've discussed here, that you can get those resources and actually access them yourself.
We're like the Kohl's Santa Claus in Miracle on 34th Street. If we can't tell you what the exact answer is, we'll send you to the place that has the right answer, because we're learning as much as the people who are watching this are learning.
Yes. We
don't know everything, but there is a wealth of information out there. Sometimes it's hard to dig through, and if you don't have that kind of time, we're sending up. That's what we do every week, is dig through this stuff. So we'll send you the leaks where we've found it, where it makes a lot of sense. If we don't know, if we don't have the time or the ability to accurately and efficiently explain it to you, we'll throw up a YouTube link of somebody who does, and it's probably going to be a 17-year-old kid in a basement somewhere that's going to explain to you the best way to do this kind of stuff,
way better,
because they're at the forefront.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it in my mind. And also, if you're out exploring these worlds and we're missing something, or you don't agree with our top 10 or anything like that, comment below, let us know. We're looking to get regular Joes like us on the show to show us what they've learned about particular worlds and kind of give us the ins and outs, So comment below, let us know. We'd like to get you guys on the show, and Ben and I have also talked about doing some small giveaways and stuff also. So we got a lot planned. Looking forward to episode number 3, Decentraland.
Yes, buy sand tokens now. All right. See you later.
Bye.
See you.